Welcome everyone to this last episode on the lost art of facilitating. And tonight we're going to talk about the breath after really addressing how to be a great facilitator with different ways of approaching facilitation. And today we're going to dive into the specifics of the breath. But I just asked the participants from if they had questions, and I usually start my talks always talking about the breath. Or this time, because there was a question not related to the breath itself, I'm going to start with that. And the question from Jan is, how do you move out of judgment, and how do you deal with judgment? And that's absolutely transformational because when you are in judgment of others, this is also how you are with yourself. So it's not something that is necessarily relational to others, but it's also a mirror of how you are with yourself. So are you judging others? And if you are, opinionated about what is good and what is bad, then you obviously have the same judgment towards yourself, where you are having a strong opinion about the parts of you that are welcome, that are celebrated, and the parts of you that should not be welcome. And I would say that the one practice that has helped me completely shift my relationship to judgment is the following. And it's a twist on one of the 4 agreements from Don Ruiz. One of the 4 agreements is don't make assumptions. And I don't think that's possible and realistic. So I tweak it and I would say, test your assumptions. So we tell ourselves stories all the time, and the same way you tell stories about yourself all the time. And every time I've observed that I have a story that I'm telling myself, I test my assumption. So the antidote to judgment would be curiosity and compassion. So what does it look like? If I feel that there is something going on, I will just check and ask to one person or to a group of people, and then I will get the answer. Maybe I will be confirmed in my assumption, or maybe I will be proven that I'm wrong. I give you a very personal example, and I have chronic lower back pain for 35 years, like to the point of that was debilitating. I would be very straightforward. Very often, I would not even want to have sex because it would be too painful. So that's to tell you how much back pain I would experience. And I've been really wanting to understand where does this back pain come from and how can I address it? And my belief is everything's emotional, anything chronic. So I went deep into understanding where does my back pain come from? What it is that I'm not seeing, what it is I'm not addressing. And I'm being with all that. And at one point, I have a conversation with my father, that's a few months ago. And the next day, my back got blocked. And I says, oh, here is something, the body is screaming at me, pay attention to that. And here is what came up for me. I thought, when I have lower back pain, basically I cannot be straight. So I'm always a little bit like that. And that's kind of a position of humility. And I always had this idea that humility is a beautiful quality. And I really want to be perceived as someone humble. So I have a really shitty scooter. I don't spend money on clothes. And I cultivate a humble lifestyle to the point that my body went along and removed my hair, right? So that's very much this idea of humility really became something embodied, but it's not necessarily something that I was controlling. And then I did something very transformational. I reconnected with my ex-partners, people I was in long relationship with. And I started having heart conversation with them, asking them and testing my assumptions. And I tested my theory with a few of my partners, telling them, okay, I have this lower back pain and this is me. And really what I believed is that I was too arrogant. My name is Alexandre from Alexander the Great. I was raised to be the best, absolutely the best. And actually, I do believe that I'm really amazing at what I do, but I don't believe that it's a great quality when you want to make friends, when you want to have a partner. So my arrogance is something that I kind of try to hide, and I hide it by kind of embodying this kind of humility mask. And I check with my partners if they really had an issue with my arrogance and if that put them off in the relationship. And they all said the same thing. And I could ask the same to my students. Many are in the room right now, and I'm pretty sure they would say the same. Actually, they didn't have an issue with my arrogance. They had an issue with my fake humility. And that was a boom, aha moment for me to realize that the source of pain is a lack of authenticity. The source of anxiety is a self-abandonment. So now all of a sudden, there is no such thing as how I want to be, what is good and what is bad, but instead having this idea of curiosity and compassion for the parts of me, whatever they are. And arrogance is a huge part of my personality, but it's a part that I really suppress. For years, I push it away because I really do feel that this is not how I'm going to make friends at school. This is not how I'm going to attract a partner. So I've even built a whole method around humility and a whole sets of principles around that. But it's when I reclaim my arrogance and then I turn it into pride and ownership of having something really to offer that literally, and I was in India in the middle of a teacher training, and literally the moment I really realized that, the pain disappeared. So the body was happy. I had listened. The symptom was no longer necessary. And so I apply that to all my relationships. If I am in a situation where, I don't know, I'm in a workshop and someone is seeking a lot of attention, is talking a lot, is fabulous, has a lot of tattoos, is burping all the time, is snorting all the time, whatever it is that they are doing, instead of feeling, oh my God, it's annoying, this person is taking all the attention, or she's not making eye contact with me, or he's burping and being rude, or whatever is going on, I'm there and I always come back to the same question. I wonder what happened to that human for them to behave the way they behave. What happened to that person to start getting tattoos? And now all of a sudden their whole body is like a second skin. What is it that they are not fully owning in their own skin so that they need a second skin, right? Instead of maybe having some jealousy or judgment on people. What do a judgment of super rich people, whatever it is that comes in my field, I always bring it back to me, but I also, if I'm staying in connection with the other person, I really just says, I wonder what happened to that person for them to develop that coping mechanism, that behavior. Because I do believe that the personality is an adaptation to the environment. There is no such thing as a shy person or an outgoing person. And this approach helped me in my relationship with my kids, of course, with my students, but also with lovers and potential partners, where I no longer feel, well, this is not the kind of person I want to be. I don't want to be with someone who is self-centered or, we have all these labels in life that says, okay, here we go. How do you survive with a narcissist? And there are all those guidelines around, but there's something must have happened. And I would go to the extent of saying that I apply this in my sessions when I have someone who shares that he has attraction to children, sexual attraction to children. And I've had that in my sessions. And this creates a space of radical compassion and curiosity. And it's a space of healing. And again, why this is so transformational is because I realize that if I'm judging others, I also have the same relation with myself. And this is not how we heal. This is not how we help, how we integrate. So, Jan, thank you for your question. This was absolutely not the topic of the day, but now we're going to talk about the breath. Let's receive one breath together. So the topic of the day is the breath. I love to start by saying that breath is the answer. Ask me any question. Breath is the answer, right? And This is absolutely true. And I hope that in the next 45 minutes, you will really appreciate the depths and the potency of this medicine that is the breath. Absolutely the answer to absolutely everything. Another sentence that I like to use is that the breath is both a symptom and a cure. And in these 45 minutes, you will hear how powerful this sentence is and how transforming it is to realize that, oh my God, all the answers are held in the way I breathe. And at the same time, I hold the key to my transformation with my own breath. And we look for transformational modalities and we meditate and we go to dark retreats and we do all these incredible things. And maybe the answer is just beneath our nose. I was always there. And when we realize that, then all of a sudden it's probably one of the most game-changing moments in someone's life. But for us to understand and appreciate the depths of the breath, we need to appreciate that first, breath is something that happens automatically, right? It's part of the nervous system that is happening without any intervention. You don't need to breathe, or don't need to be focus your attention on your breath to be breathing right now. That's why it's called its autonomic nervous system, ANS. It's automatic. You sleep, you're breathing all the time, right? And at the same time, we have the ability with a different channel, it's two different pathways in the brain, to control our breathing and to change our breathing, which is quite powerful when you think about it, that just by bringing your awareness on your breath, you immediately will interrupt its pattern. Just having awareness of it will interrupt it. And then with consciousness, with intention, we are able to change our breath and our breathing pattern. And when we change our breathing pattern, we change our state. So there is clear correlation between the way we breathe and our inner state. A higher breathing pattern will be associated with an activation of the nervous system. A slower breathing pattern will be associated with a calming pattern. So when we are scared, we breathe more through the mouth and we breathe fast. And when we are fully relaxed, when we are asleep, then our breathing slows down. And often, if things go well, we switch more from a mouth breathing pattern to a nose breathing pattern. So it's quite fascinating because we have this idea that things happen and they impact our breath. I'm running and all of a sudden my breath pattern is changing. There is a snake in the room, there is an email from someone I don't want to receive, or an exciting news. Oh, by the way, if I receive a message from, okay, let's be real, a message from my ex, the mother of my kids, it's going to impact my breath pattern. Not in a positive way, but I'm going to start to overbreathe. But then I can receive an email from the Global Breathwork Alliance, and I've been waiting for almost 2 years to our confirmation that my school is certified, which it is, by the way. One of the few schools that is certified by the Global Breathwork Alliance. What's happening in my breath, what's happening with my heartbeat is the same. So in one case, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm anxious, and in the other, I'm excited, right? But it's the same breathing pattern. So it's not so much the activation that matters, is the interpretation of the activation. So in any situation when there is an activation, I do have agency, I do have the possibility to interpret it by being nervous, scared, or by being excited. By the way, this is why I love ice baths, because ice baths gets me activated, it triggers me. And some people will say, oh my God, I'm scared, I'm nervous. And other people will say, oh yes, I feel excited, I feel buzzing, I think something amazing is coming. So it's quite powerful, this statement, because once you realize that, you realize you have a choice in every situation where your nervous system gets activated. And your choice is to decide whether, in this situation, you're going to be scared, nervous, or excited. Am I scared to go on stage or am I excited? And if you are able to observe your breath, to have some distance and appreciation for your breath pattern, then you have some kind of insight of what's going on in your subconscious and in your unconscious. And that's pretty cool. You've got the key. The key is in your breathing pattern. But learning how to rewire the interpretation of this breath pattern, it's what's transformational. You know, some of you know already, but a few weeks ago, I had immigration come in the middle of my workshop. Literally, police with guns entering, raiding my house. And I could feel my heart go up. And I felt I wanted to run away. Literally, I thought, can I go upstairs? So the fight flight was directly activated. But I had the agency, I had the practice, the ability to observe it. And by the way, this is the biggest trigger for me because my parents experienced traumas with the Nazis, the communists. It's been a topic. So it's a really big topic. But having awareness of my breath, I decided in that moment to be excited. And that changed my whole experience. I wouldn't go into back further into it. I've talked in previous episodes, but that was quite a life transforming moment, actually, this experience with the immigration. Anyway, now let's go back to what's happening in breathwork. For that, we need to go back to what happened when you were a kid. People ask, show us how to breathe. You're a breath master. Tell us how to breathe. And I always say, if you want, and it's not for me, it's quite common, but if you want to look at a breath master, look at a newborn baby. Most newborn babies have usually beautiful breathing patterns, and we can just observe what's happening in the belly, in the chest, full expansion of the body, and how it's moving like a beautiful wave when the baby is breathing. But everything that happened that went to disrupt the peace of the baby had an imprint in the breath. Mommy is doing Pilates instead of taking care of me when I wake up, or she thought, okay, baby is asleep. Okay, cool. I can do the laundry. Okay, let's be gender correct. Mommy and daddy, otherwise I'm going to be attacked. Basically, baby is asleep. Mommy and daddy are taking the opportunity to go do the laundry. Baby wakes up. He doesn't know that parents are doing this, and they start having a panic attack, start screaming. They feel abandoned because unconscious parents think, okay, I can manipulate, I can distract the baby. And this anxiety, this overbreathing, this exhaustion in the breath leaves an imprint in the baby, leaves a contraction. Let me be clear. Every time you were not authentic, it was manifested with a change of your breathing pattern. Every time you got scared, it was associated with a breath hold. If I want to jump from a cliff, what am I going to do? I'm going to inhale and I'm going to contract my muscles because this will help me reduce impact by being all in tension. In my head, I think this is the best way to protect my vertebra and my whole body by being contracted. But this is what's happening when there is chronic stress, when there is chronic lack of safety. Then all of a sudden, it's associated with breath hold, with contraction of the diaphragm, with upper breathing, because when we are hyperventilating, then we are breathing from the upper chest. And all that, my friends, stays. And now all of a sudden, I have thousands, I'm not exaggerating, must have had 7,000 people in my workshops, and I must have had thousands of people that come to me and their breathing pattern is shit. They breathe from the upper chest, their breath is shallow, they have a really high breathing rate. Bring it on. I say, mosquitoes are coming. So if you see me play tennis, it's because there are mosquitoes around. The breath listen to this one, is an autobiography. Every breath hold, every movement of the breath tells a story. That's why I say that the breath is a symptom. So when people come to my sessions, I'm like a doctor. The doctor, what he needs to give a diagnostic. So when I have people in my sessions, I want to have a diagnostic. How can I give a diagnostic if I'm talking all the time? If I'm telling people how to breathe right away, if I'm guiding the breath, I will have zero information. So instead, I'm observing, I'm listening, I'm counting, and I'm having a picture in my head. What is the story of this human? What happened to that person for them to breathe the way they breathe? And you know what? Some is because of what happened to them in their childhood. For many, it's because of the toxic culture. Maybe they smoked cigarettes. Maybe they have big breasts and they don't feel it's okay because guys are looking at their breast in an inappropriate way. So they always wear sports bra, which is restricting their airway and restricting their upper chest. And they only breathe through their belly. Maybe they are black belt in pranayama and they have done 25 vipassana. And they've been told you need to breathe through the nose and through the belly, right? And this is the right way to breathe. And that's the way. And they never breathe from the upper chest. The breath is stuck in the belly because this is what your yoga teacher told you. And that's what your pranayama teacher told you. And now all of a sudden, they don't breathe through the upper belly, upper chest. See, we've lost it, we guys. We are crazy. We are trying so hard to do everything right that we forgot that we are also humans. That's why I call my training the lost art of being human. Yes, there is space for controlled breathing, but there is also space for breathing without controlling. Yes, fasting is amazing, but there is also space for feasting and eating more than is reasonable. And if we are always about control and if it's always about doing right, what do? We just suppress parts of us. And yes, I promise you, if you do all the right things, you're going to die older, which is what it seems everyone is trying to do. But I'd rather challenge this desire to die older, but instead, maybe you should try to live before you die. And most people, they are just busy not dying instead of enjoying life. Where is the fun? Where is pleasure? Where is joy? Where is getting out of the way? Where is getting out of control? Where is wildness? So this is what I mean when I say observing the breath. Who has life force? Who is present but not in connection? Which eyes are looking around without being stable? Who is talking all the time and super fast? Means they are mouth breathing all the time. Who is very quiet and observing? For me, there is no judgment. There is just observation. There is just the doctor's hat who's there. What is your story? But of course, I cannot trust you with your story because you are aware of 5%. So I need you to shut up and get out of the way. That's why we dance. That's why we move. That's why we connect in ways that is not through consciousness, not mentally. And this is where humans connect at their heart level, at the human level. So that's what I mean by getting a diagnostic. That's what I mean by the breath is a symptom. right? Observing which emotion has been suppressed. And how do I know that the emotion has been suppressed? Because there will be no movement in the body. The breath will be stuck and shallow, right? So that will tell me that. If there is hardly movement in the breath and there is super flat belly, a lot of abs, a lot of contraction, that it means that the person has contracted a lot in their life, right? What is the jawline telling me, etc., etc. So the invitation, maybe for you, if you're watching the recording or if you're here present, is to take a moment with your own breath and say, how do I breathe? What's going on with my breath? And to start having moments of journaling, of observation. Again, don't try to do it right. The main mistake people do is to, bless you, Melissa, is to correct it and to try to do it right. That's a big mistake. Instead, don't miss out on the first phase, which is to observe, to give, to get a diagnostic, right? Very often the body is expressing. So we will know that, the guy is bald. Oh, that's interesting. What happened to him? I shared a bit about my one of the theories why I'm bald. Many other reasons. But instead of having an opinion on people, just, that's interesting. And observe and look and listen and observe and feel. And that's why it is so important for me as a facilitator to be in my body, to be fully in my body when I come in my sessions, because then I can be in connection with others. If I'm not attuned to myself, how can I attune to others? And that's why facilitating from the mind doesn't work, because then I cannot observe others. I need to have that space. I need to have that awareness. And for that, my needs need to be met. I need to take care of myself, etc., etc. Now, breath is a symptom. I hope you got that because it's pretty cool. And again, in the context of this series, this is not something that is shared enough. This is not something that is expressed enough in breathwork sessions, right? Because we're addicted to solutions. We just want someone to tell us what to do. Give it to me. Give me the pill. Don't talk to me. You're the doctor. Give me the pill. And this is how we go through life. We are not even interested in having any conversation with our, doctors. Says, oh, you know my body better than me. So just you look and you tell me. But that doesn't work like that. That's why consultations should last longer with doctors. That's why we need to have space. That's why people are criticizing me for not doing short sessions. Yes, I can't do it. I need minimum 2 days with someone. I cannot do 2 hours. What can I do in 2 hours? I give you the Panadol. Yeah, here is Panadol for everybody. But that's for me is useless. It's useless. I think short breathwork sessions are useless. Is almost a waste of time. What matters is to create long-lasting change, reprogramming neural pathways. That's what transformation is, and that is soft, and that requires space and time, and we can't do that. Also, I will go on. I think 1 hour therapy with a psychoanalyst is also useless. You can't get progress in an hour every week with someone you can't do that. I don't believe in it. We need time to regulate the nervous system, to feel safe, to trust again, and we can't be restricted by time all the time to open up. That's why I do believe in the potency of circling and being with strangers, so we don't rely on some kind of savior, some kind of therapist, doctor. This whole way we are doing healing is broken. And the proof is that it doesn't work. You don't have healthier people. You don't have happier people. You don't have healthier societies. You don't have more caring, compassionate communities. No, what you see is a world being more and more selfish and destroyed, and people are disconnected. And yet we are still doing the same thing again and again. And no one has done any progress since Freud. And Freud remains the only way to do things. And no one's challenging the status quo. But again, I love this. If something doesn't work and you keep doing the same thing, it's called madness. So we are mad. We're just mad. Instead, the right way to do it is to look at systems that work. I mean, this is not rocket science. If I'm a businessman, I look at the business who's successful and I copy it, right? This is how you will make, we have Jan, who's a really successful entrepreneur. This is how you do business. It's not rocket science to be successful. You look at the best and you copy. And the best, indigenous cultures. They are happier. They are healthier. They don't need psychotherapy, right? They have communities. They work the land. They are connected to nature. They are connected to spirit. There is a problem. It's healed by the community. They're children. These children of the community. Relationship with the community. It works, and it works in all the blue zones around the world, and it's always the same recipe. So, my friends, now we have the answer. We have the cure. The breath is the cure. And actually, I believe that one of the most transformational aspects of the breath is to actually breathe together. Is when we align the breath. There is something magical that happens when you have people aligning their frequency. And when you change your breath, you change your state. And if there is one frequency with one breath pattern, it creates ripple effect. And it's so healing for a group of people. So one of the beautiful things that I love doing is just breathe together. If you are a tantrika, they will teach you that. The secret of Tantra, the secret of connection, the secret of lovemaking is breathing together, is aligning the breath. This is, my friends, the secret of lovemaking. There's a secret of full body orgasm, is connection with your breath and alignment of the breath. And this is in all the books. You have it. So you can apply that. By the way, for me, relationship is relationship. So if I talk about sex, it's just an image, because for me, you can talk about clients, you can talk about children, you can talk about partner, you can talk about yourself. It is the same. A relationship is a relationship. There is no compartmenting and talking about certain topics and other not. We can just go in every type of relationship to see what works and apply it. So breathing together, that's why, you know why? We know it, we do it intuitively. We do it with singing. You go to a club and then there is your favorite track that is playing, and you go to a concert and now 1 million people are singing together and you feel, oh my God, the energy was insane. And we were singing together. Guess what? Singing is excelling, right? Is you're restricting on the airway, and when you sing, you prolong your exhale, you activate the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system. That's why we love singing and karaoke, and that's why it's so healing, and how people feel so good when they go to concerts. That's why we like to drink beer with our friends, or tea or cacao or wine. It's the same breath when you drink with someone. That's what's so healing, and that's why we all drink together. And that is known in every culture. Just drink together, and that brings the solution. It doesn't matter if it's beer, wine, tea, all the cultures have it. The queen every week meets the prime minister. Before they talk, they drink tea, and then they can talk. There is first an alignment of the vibration with the person. And once you're aligned, your vibration, then you can enter into connection. We do it all the time, just we do it unconsciously, right? So it's really powerful, because now that you know that, you can really approach any connection from the breath. I connect with someone. I don't try to speak to them. I don't try to listen to them. How do I create attunement? I will meet their breath. I will join their breath. I'm not telling them to breathe like me. If it's one person, I meet their breath and I join them. And when they see that I'm breathing with them, then something happens. Our heart rates align. And now we have mind heart frequency alignment. All this is out there. It's nothing that you cannot, fact check. It's on YouTube, so it's true. So now we have these alignments. But now I can add a layer by setting a specific breathing pattern. Remember what I said. Traumas are associated often with change in the breathing pattern, whether it's a panic attack, overbreathing, or a restriction of the breath. Something happened that disrupted this beautiful breathing rhythm. So here you go. You've got the medicine. That's the secret and why all the breathing that you see, they all use the same technique, conscious connected breathing. Holotropic, Wim Hof, rebirthing, Soma, everybody's trying to make money with a brand, but it's the same. You connect your inhale and your exhale. And what's happening when we connect the inhale and the exhale? In a way that is of the same rhythm over and over. There is no pause at the top, there is no pause at the bottom. And all of a sudden, energy that has been stuck in the fascia, restriction of, and tensions in the muscles, they get to be released. Why? Because what is moving through the fascia? Fascia are the soft connective tissue that are all around your body, the white stuff that is going all around your body. And what is moving in the fascia? The famous prana. This idea of prana, of energy, it's moving through what? It's moving through the fascia. So when you are relaxing the fascia, you are allowing unrestricted movement of prana, life force. And now you've got the life force that is moving through the body. And a little bit like a river that is pushing some little dams, it's pushing the repressed emotions. That's why in breathwork, people release. They release because of this breathing pattern that is getting to unrestrict tensions in the body. And that's what's so beautiful about breathing. So we breathe, we align the breath with others, and then we do something else. We get out of the way. There is one point in breathwork that is magical, and everyone who's done breathwork, they know that moment when the breath takes over. When, at one point, you don't need to breathe. It's no effort anymore. You're no longer controlling the breath is taking over. And now the body is being breathed. And the breath, and it's, for me, and it's, you have this in every culture, it's the soul that takes over. Right? And guess what? Soul and breath is the same word in every original language. In Latin, in Greek, in Hebrew, pneuma in Greek, hua in Hebrew. It's always the same. The breath is the same word. Spiritus in Latin is the same for spirit and for breath. So the moment you let the breath take over, it's literally how you access your soul and how the soul starts expressing itself. And that's, some would say in holotropic lineage that you modify your state of consciousness, right? And for me, it's not, I don't necessarily like that expression. I think now we are living in a modified state of consciousness. You access consciousness, right? Now it's altered. You go back to proper state of consciousness. And in that moment, you get to access what people access when they take LSD, ayahuasca, mushrooms. You basically get to the source code. You get to have distance from your little drama, the little theater that you're playing. Oh my God, I'm a controller, I'm a people pleaser, mommy did this, da 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 da. All your little drama that you are living, and you are able to have a bit of distance as, oh my God, so much drama. Do I need all this drama? And this is where you literally get to experience something called rebirth. This is where you are going to the source and let the body breathe in a way that gets you to go back to the source. And that's why breath is the answer. And that's why breath is the cure. Because what is the cure is to get out of your little theater, to get out of your little drama and your little and it's almost impossible, right? If you have a human experience, you want relationship, you want to be accepted by others, things happen to you and you develop some coping mechanism. There's no judgment of traumas and how we adapted to them. But to be able to have a little bit of of distance from yourself, being able to have a little bit of observation. And this brings peace. This brings liberation. So all of a sudden, you are no longer a slave of your environment. You're no longer chasing likes and dollars and recognition and validation, the love that's going to save you, and all the things that we think externally are going to help us feel finally whole. When you access that, you realize, oh my God, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. All good. And this brings a sense of relief, a sense of liberation. And you can still go back to your little drama. You can still go to access it, but not from a place of taking yourself too seriously, right? And often people access it through psychedelics and substances and plant medicine, but there is something potent and actually, I believe, probably more powerful through the breath. Yeah, there is like almost a direct connection. There is no middleman involved anymore. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit what I have for you, my friends. Breath as a cure and breath as a symptom. So if you are interested, you have an amazing opportunity since I am a certified school with a Breathwork Global Practitioner Breathwork Alliance, and you get to do this training with me online, self-paced, all recorded. You have the opportunity to also come to me in Bali or in India, in Dharamshala, and we do these trainings 4 or 5 times a year. The truth is, the teacher training is an excuse. No one leaves my training thinking, oh, great, now I know how to facilitate breathwork. It's an opportunity to connect to yourself, to change the narrative of your life, to understand why you behave the way you behave, why this is your response, and from that place becoming a creator, right? No longer reacting to life, but being an initiator, someone who is really crafting the life they want to live, not from a place of response to their environment and their trauma and the history of their ancestors. I think it's an incredible path of liberation. But unfortunately, people want to learn skills and they want to earn money. So I teach a facilitator training, which is almost, I promise you, a side benefit of the experience. And yet, of course, it's very grounded and anchored, and you live confident that you can facilitate one-on-ones, but I prefer groups, and I teach you how to facilitate groups as well. All right, so it's breathingcoldbelly.com, and reach out, happily get on a call with anyone interested. Now, friends who are live with me, do you have reaction questions? All is welcome. Know that you will be recorded. That's the only thing.
I have a question.
Yes, go
You
ahead.
say you don't believe in
Who is talking?
that it's
Fiona. Ah, here
possible
we
to
go.
drive change in like 2 hour sessions.
Yes.
But is there not an argument for like a series of sessions where you just
Yes.
go to the edges
Yes.
of whatever's happening so that you can not necessarily go straight into trauma, like you can just go gently? I just, I agree with you, it takes time, but I just wondered if there's also an argument for the time being cumulative. Um,
100%, 100%, 100%. But I would insist on not having time restriction in the sessions.
I
I
agree with
think
that
if
too.
if we can, I really don't like the psychoanalytic approach of a strict timing, 45 minutes, and this drives me nuts. So I think if we can have a more human approach where, like yesterday I did a session, it was an hour and a half instead of 2 hours. Okay. It doesn't mean I'm always going for longer. We stay with what is alive, but I'm present. And when it's done, it's done. But it's nice for people to feel that there is space, that there is no one who is pressing, and if something is coming up, then we give it space. So I love. I don't do what you do, but I think I would love to do that, to spend time and to build a relationship. I do every Monday a breathwork session for 2 hours online, just so that people get to know me. And I have a one-on-one integration with one of the participants who does want to hire me for integration. So breath brings some material, and then we spend 1 hour on one for 1 hour. So it's a 3 hour session for him, and this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Yeah, but I really encourage people, my students in general, but everyone, to not follow anyone who says this is the way to do things in general, which is kind of a way, a little bit how we live in this world where, okay, my teacher, he says this is the way it's done, and I respect my teacher. And if I don't do it like my teacher, then I will not be respectful. Trust yourself a little bit and find your authentic expression. In if something you receive something and it works, fantastic, keep going. And if you feel this is not aligned, then do differently. But give yourself the permission. Like another thing that I don't like in psychoanalysis is that the facilitator don't talk about themselves. They are always of service to. We talked about it. We're always of service of the client or the patient, whatever you want to call it, or the practitioner. I think it's bullshit. If imagine now again my girlfriend, is she going to feel safe with me because I ask a lot of amazing questions and I'm present for her and I listen to her super nicely? Or if I reveal myself and she gets to know my shadow and she gets to know the dark sides of me, how am I going to create trust in my relationship with my girlfriend? Of course, the second way, not being a Superman who's super present and attentive and caring and absolutely not authentic. No, by being myself. And then she says, okay, if someone shows their shadow, then we also can trust their light, right? And I do believe as facilitators, we also need to embrace that and to show that. And we don't see enough of that because this is not Stan Grof. This is not what they are teaching in any of the lineage of breathwork, where you really don't know so much about the facilitators. And I really would love to encourage, and that's what I teach, the facilitators to reveal themselves because I believe this is how you create trust and safety. That's what I have to say on that. Any other question? Thank you, Fiona. What else? Friends. Now everybody feels complete. So don't hesitate. Join me. We have Monday's ritual every Monday with a Zoom session. We have plenty of online courses, and my online courses, I give discounts if people cannot afford. So anyone reaching out to me, I have a free course on stress, and then I have an 11-week course that is very affordable, and I'll happily discount it for people who cannot afford. And the rest you know already. Last chance for questions. No? Dave, go ahead, Dave, graduate of the training. You can share also about your experience because you've done the training, so you can share your experience.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I was wanted to talk about that. I mean, for me, every time I come into this kind of session, I wanted to share what's happening in me every time I feel expansion. So whatever is the topic, whatever is the feeling, reliving everything I learned from you, and since then, now it's 2 years that I completed the training. I feel like very expansion in my body. I can feel it. So I'm very connected to my body. And yeah, my experience in the training was amazing. And after 2 years, I'm still living on this kind of thing. So for me, the most important thing, of course, I got the tools for facilitate. I facilitated many sessions since then, one-on-one and group session as a Breathwork facilitator. But the main thing was the connection in the community. And I totally agree about breathing together, stay together, circling is the most important thing. I'm also when I organize my static dance, I always put a lot of attention of the circling, the opening one, the closing one, and leaving enough space for silence, for the integration part is very, very important. And what is still in me and nourishing me and change the man I am and how I show up to the world is the authentic way. So what I learned the most from the training with you, Alex, is being more authentic with myself and so with the other. Authenticity is my core value, is my first pillar. And every time I'm in this kind of session for me, it's I feel so good. I feel really, and my joy in expansion all the time. So just want to share this. I just want to share this. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Appreciate your words, brother. And I'll send you your commission. I'm joking. Uh, all right, everyone. I think we are on time. So thank you, everyone, for making the time. I appreciate you. Sending you all lots of love. Bye.